Hello, my friends. My name is Gerdes. Here are the three big stories for today. It's really three big overall stories. The first is the military situation. Despite 3 downed planes today, I don't want you to get the idea that Ukraine is just taking it to them and just winning an overwhelming victory. No, what's really happening is that they're having a hard time on the ground while they're having the success in the air. So go look at Mercado Media or Combat Vet Reacts to see what I can't really do for you. I don't have that kind of expertise. But here's beyond what's going on the front line. Ukrainian spec ops disaster. 20 reported kills by ambush in a small boat landing in Crimea. This is Ukrainians being killed, and it's just not going as well as you would like it to be. And I think Mercado struck the right tone. If there's new information to provide about gains by the AFU today, I'll happily report it. But reporting verifiable information as fact is not fear-mongering. Russia is advancing, and this is due to the lack of support from the United States. Doesn't change my belief in victory. Yes, because we haven't supplied what they need, they are having a hard time. That's why they had to withdraw from Avdiivka, and he's spot on. So we don't want to whitewash things. Okay, second story. This is big story number 2. West wants to destroy Russia, says Putin. U.S. and allies want to make the country a withering space. And so I talked about this briefly yesterday. The West, which has colonial habits and is used to igniting national conflicts all over the world, has intentions that go beyond stalling our development, the Russian leader told the Federal Assembly, a gathering of leading Russian officials and public figures. Now, it's fascinating because when you read RT, it's like, wait, that's what you're doing. In place of Russia, they want a dependent, withering, dying space where they can do whatever they want. But that's what you're doing in Ukraine, and you're saying the West wants to do it. It's hard to fathom sometimes. He was talking about without sovereign and a strong Russia, no firm world order is possible. No, it's because of Russia that international order has been thrown into chaos. And then finally, sending troops to Ukraine would risk provoking nuclear war, Putin tells NATO, all in the same speech. But I think, and I can't prove it, but I think this is one of those red lines that, don't send tanks, don't send missiles, don't send those type of missiles, don't send jets. And he's not going to do anything about it because, but what's he saying here? We can send our troops into Ukraine. You can't send your troops into Ukraine. I mean, it's a weird double standard that doesn't seem to make any sense, but that's where we are. Okay, let's turn to story number 3. Let's go to Washington. House Republican prepares a discharge petition on Ukraine aid. So what's this? It's a maneuver for forcing a vote. Will it be successful? I don't know. It doesn't have a long track record of being successful. Brian Fitzpatrick, the co-chair of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus, who is leading the push, Fitzpatrick's told reporters that he's preparing what's known as a discharge petition, which can force a House vote if it gets 218 signatures. So it would need most of the Democrats and a handful of Republicans. Such a petition would therefore require support from a handful of Republicans, assuming it gets signatures from most Democrats. The maneuver also requires a certain amount of time, 30 days, in which the House is in session before it can be forced to the floor. But that is problematic on a couple of levels. But it can be helpful for Mike Johnson strategically. Here's why. This is a Fox News article. Johnson has not provided much clarity on his strategy for dealing with Ukraine. He is under immense pressure from his right flank to withhold any bills related to Ukraine aid, with a significant portion of the GOP calling for the U.S. not to get involved. Well, yeah, there's a minority position within the GOP, but they are the people that could very well call a vote to remove him from office. And you saw what happened last time. It would be a major step for one of Johnson's fellow Republicans to sideline him on a high-level item like Ukraine, but it could also afford him an opportunity to escape GOP hardliners' wrath. Like, if they do this discharge petition, it wasn't me, they did it. I mean, I was trying to stop it, guys. Like, that's kind of a weasel way out, but it might be politically expedient for Johnson. Fitzpatrick said he had not discussed the discharge position with Johnson. Okay, so that's where he is. Now, there's a reason why he's there, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But Before we get there, I don't see a lot of hope for the discharge petition, and here's why. Democratic leader shoots down the discharge petition on Ukraine border bill. The head of the House Democratic caucus wasted no time Thursday shooting down the bipartisan proposal linking Ukraine aid to border security. Representative Pete Aguilar, Democrat of California, said the supporters of that plan are well-meaning and thoughtful lawmakers, but I just don't think this is the solution that's in front of us, Aguilar told reporters in the Capitol. Many Democrats have hammered Fitzpatrick's proposal, both for the provisions it includes, like Remain in Mexico policy, which is what was in place before Biden took office, and then with executive orders subverted that, and policy governing would-be migrants, and for those it leaves out, like humanitarian aid for Palestinians in Gaza. So they don't like this, and they're not probably going to support the discharge petition, even though that could get it out of the House and onto the Senate. Okay, he goes on, the solution is incredibly clear. It is the bipartisan solution that has 70 votes out of the United States Senate. He said, getting the Senate to take up anything new would be weeks or months. Not necessarily. The United States Senate could take the discharge petition and agree to it fairly readily, perhaps. But they want this solution, the Senate solution, not this solution, the discharge solution. And so now you have this weird place where if the discharge petition were to go forward, it would be Democrats standing in the way of that solution, saying, no, we want the other solution. And all of this means that it takes even more time in order to get to a solution. Hopefully, we will not get into a big budget battle. Hopefully, we will pass that with a continuing resolution and move on to actually dealing with some sort of Ukraine-Israel aid sooner than later. Okay. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican from Georgia, has threatened a vote of no confidence against Johnson if he even brings the aid bill to the floor. So there are those like Matt Gaetz who did it to McCarthy, and Marjorie Taylor Greene who is threatening to do it to Johnson. Johnson knows he's in battle. He knows he's in a difficult place, but Democrats will protect Mike Johnson over Ukraine aid vote. Jeffries is the Democrat leader in the House of Representatives, and he's saying this. Hakeem Jeffries, the House Minority Leader, floated the offer in an interview with the New York Times, saying a reasonable number of Democrats would vote to save the Republican Speaker if the Ukraine vote resulted in a Republican mutiny. But we remember what happened last time, what they did to Speaker McCarthy. What happened was caused by Republicans who voted to remove McCarthy, but every Democrat went along with it, and it only needed a few Republicans and every Democrat, and he's gone. So if Johnson doesn't really trust that this is going to be a safe place to be, like, this guy can't be sleeping well every night. And he's in a very tough place because the MAGA supporters within his own caucus, they're the ones that are after him. And if he steps out of place, what happened to McCarthy could very well happen to him. So again, just to recap what's going on, House Republicans prepared this discharge petition. It's probably not going to go anywhere according to the Democrat leader. And yeah, that's where we are. Okay, last thing. This is Darth Putin. It's just a funny Twitter account. Russian Su-34s have a 100% success rate at intercepting Patriot missiles. They seem to be pretty good at it lately. Okay, that's all that I have. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and the coffees, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.